Welcome back to another episode of A Football's Destiny presented by Fortune Sports. We are continuing our 2023 NFL off script with the NFC North. My show, baby. Go Pack, go. I'm one of your hosts, Damon. With me, as always, is John to my right and Hunter to my left.
What's going on, everybody?
What up, guys?
We are back, week 3.
John, one more thing.
Oh, yeah. Give us a sec.
So this is a surprise to me. I had no idea. Obviously, they had something planned for me since I am a Packer fan, and I was not being very nice during their divisions, I should say, but breaking out jerseys of a team who has not been relevant since the Packers won the Super Bowl was the last time that this team made an appearance in the playoffs or did anything in the playoffs. I don't really consider losing the wild card 2 years in 2020 and 2018 as doing something in the playoffs, if you guys agree with that, but 2010 is the last time you guys made it anywhere in the playoffs, that team specifically. And that just so happens to be the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl. So that's sick.
Yeah, okay.
Did they play each other?
They played in the NFC Championship that year, yeah, in
Packers
2010.
beat them to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's wild. One of the greatest rivalries in sports.
It is 100%.
If not the best.
Also, might as well throw this out here because it just dawned on me. The Packers last season took over with the most wins in NFL history, taking that away from the Bears. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, I do actually
That was
remember that.
fun.
So
when you were established in like 1742.
So were they.
No, I'm saying both of the teams.
Yeah, sure. So, take
Uh,
that dub.
The Ravens have a chance to catch up in like 17
Yeah.
million years or
Yeah,
something.
the Jaguars are really close too, I
The
heard.
Jaguars are really close.
Poor Damon surrounded, Cali Kid says. Welcome back,
So-
Cali Kid. Nice to see you, bro.
So
Good to see you, Cali Kid.
I looked down and I was like, I feel like I'm wearing a Bobby Boucher jersey.
That would be sick if you were.
Probably get a Bobby Boucher jersey.
Let's go, Mud Dogs.
Go Mud Dogs.
Alrighty. Yep.
Mama say.
This is our NFC North episode. Obviously, we went a little ham on the Bears decorations, but ultimately this is Damon's episode as he is big Green Bay Packers guy.
I am. It's
Shout
so nice of you guys to do all this lovely decor since I didn't hang up any Dolphins gear during your episode. And
I don't
didn't-
think you own Dolphins.
I
yet.
will be eventually. Now it will be.
He's a
And I didn't hang up any Giants stuff. I should have
Right,
hung
yeah,
up Eagles stuff.
Yeah,
Would've
I was
really
gonna
killed you.
say if there's Giants
Eagles.
stuff on the wall, I'd be like, eh.
Anyway,
But alrighty.
I guess we could have chosen a more relevant NFC North team, but
The Lions.
A little bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah, definitely. But it is good to be back. Before we get started, I just want to bring up again, if you've been here the last couple of weeks, I sound like a broken record, but we do have merch out on fortunesportscrew.com. The can koozies over there. Sorry, we were kind of slacking this week on our drinking ability. I blame myself, okay?
Thank you for admitting that.
But so yeah, go to fortunesportscrew.com and get anything that you want. We got shirts, can koozies, phone cases, hats like Damon's wearing right now, and all of the above. But yeah,
Damon's hat.
alrighty. I think it's time to just jump right into it. We're gonna go in order of the division rankings as of last year. So the first team up is the Minnesota Vikings. I'll go ahead and take her away here. Last season, the Minnesota Vikings were 13-4, which is honestly a little bit better than I was expecting. And Vegas does not like them this year. Okay, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, they have their over/under of 8.5 wins. Kind of surprising.
That's insane to me.
I thought the same thing when I saw that, especially just bringing it up. The lines are at 9.5 as their line on FanDuel. So
I was going to say it's a lot of respect to Detroit there. A little not respect, disrespect
not respect.
to the Minnesota Vikings. But
I mean, we'll talk about it obviously, but I do think they maybe got a little worse, and it starts with losing running back Dalvin Cook. I mean, he was released, but in free agency, and he's yet to sign to a team. That's obviously the biggest news out of the Vikings, as they did re-sign Alexander Mattison to a 2-year deal. So they think he's the future at their running back position. I don't necessarily know why they decided to just dip out on Dalvin Cook like that, but
I wouldn't say that they think that Alexander Madison is the future for them. They have quite a bit of wide receiver threats. They got rid of one of their veterans, but picked up a absolute beast in the draft. So we'll get there.
alrighty. Sorry about that. I just need to
Dalvin
make
Cook.
sure. I just wanted to make sure there's everybody that gets a link to this that they need to. Alrighty. Also, who they lost in free agency includes wide receiver Adam Thielen. He went to Carolina on a 3-year, $25 million deal. He's a little bit of an aging receiver, so it's okay that they dipped on that. Then D tackle Dalvin Tomlinson got a bag from Cleveland, 4 years, $57 million. And then they also lost linebacker Eric Kendricks to the Los Angeles Chargers on a 2-year, $13 million contract. So those right there, 3 of their top 10 players, I think, going from last year are all just gone with the wind.
Biggest loss in your opinion?
Dalvin.
That's
I don't think so.
Out of
so.
those 3,
Yeah, I think Eric Kendricks is their biggest loss.
See, I was gonna go a different option and say Adam Thielen. I don't really think it's because Adam Thielen is like god tier, wide receiver, but like he was good enough to take pressure off of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Okay, and now their wide receiver 2 is KJ Osborne, and then they did draft a wide receiver in the first round.
Jordan Addison's their number 2 now.
Yeah, probably, but like they're both like not as proven as Adam Thielen was, throughout the last 5 years or so. So like, is that going to put more pressure on? I mean, Justin Jefferson's still the best player in the league, arguably, out of any position. But does he does he take a step back? I don't think so. But I think it'll be more challenging for him to get good looks at least this offseason, or this season, excuse me.
So we all think that each of them separately are
Why do you think Kendricks, Damon? I'm curious.
He's just been the leader for that defense for so many years, the middle focal point captain, and he was one of the better linebackers in the league, in my opinion. So losing him, that shifts up the whole defense, and you got to figure out who that guy is going to be calling the plays in the huddle over on that side of the ball from now on, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough adjustment. It's got to be.
They definitely lost a little bit of other veteran presence, losing Patrick Peterson as well. He is getting up there in age, but he's still proven that he can be one of the best corners in the league. Very, very hot pickup for Pittsburgh, but
yeah, I would say
we'll touch on that next week.
No, Pittsburgh. They also lost 2 other corners in Chandon Sullivan and Duke Shelley, so that's 3 of actually we'll talk about the corners a little bit soon, but that's 3 corners of starters that are just gone. So obviously they have to do something to fix that, and I don't know if they did that well of a job doing that this offseason. But then they also lost tight end Irv Smith Jr. to Cincinnati on a 1-year deal. So obviously losing a lot of big names for them, but they did gain a couple, I guess you can say. The biggest one being Marcus Davenport, defensive end out of New Orleans. He got a 1-year deal. But then they also got tight end Josh Oliver, who kind of got a bag for not being a really big name. He got 3 years, $21 million coming over from Baltimore. Then they also got cornerback Byron Murphy from the Arizona Cardinals, 2 years, $17 million. Byron Murphy's probably the best corner in Arizona, and now he is
gone.
Yep. So
nobody wants to play for the Cardinals.
No, that's damn facts. And then they also got defensive end Dean Lowry from the Packers, 2 years, $8.5 million. You upset about that?
I'm perfectly fine with that.
I
mean, it's not like when we lost to Darius Smith to him last year, and then I almost said something very inappropriate, but beat up on Rodgers in week 1. I'll put it that way.
Yep. Speaking of Zadarius Smith, he did get traded away from the Vikings to the Cleveland Browns, and for a bag of chips. The Vikings received 5th-round picks in 2024 and 2025. The Browns received linebacker Zadarius Smith, 2025 6th-round pick, 6th and 7th-round pick. So basically, they're just swapping very late picks for Zadarius Smith. So nothing too crazy there. Browns get a proven pass rusher, and the Vikings get maybe somebody good in the 5th round in a year or 2.
Hopefully.
Alrighty. Moving on to retaining in free agency. These people are, I don't know, mid. Center Garrett Bradbury, 3 years, $15 million. running back Alexander Madison, 2 years, $7 million. I touched on that a little bit. And they re-signed kicker Greg Joseph to a 1 year. I don't know why they keep bringing back Greg Joseph. I don't think he's all that great as a kicker. I think they should try to move on, but
Loyalty.
loyalty over royalty, I
I
guess.
guess so.
All right, and then what's up, Darius? Sorry, I was looking at the chat really quick before I moved on. Damon's hat. Sorry, that's gonna be a meme always.
Always in the chat.
All right, let's talk about the Vikings draft picks really quick. Well, round 1, pick 23 is wide receiver Jordan Addison out of USC. We talked about that a little bit. They did need a new wide receiver after the departure of Adam Thielen to play behind Jay Jettis and KJ Osborne. And then it's good that the Vikings, found this need in the first round right away, because last year they used 3 wide receiver sets on 825 plays, which was the 4th most in the NFL last season. So obviously we always knew they like to throw the ball a lot. Obviously when you have the best wide receiver in the league, that's what you do. But obviously they need to have 3 wide receivers out there to take some pressure off of Jay Jettis. So I think it's good that they found that in the first round.
I really like Jordan Addison. Big shoes to fill with having Adam Thielen gone. But Kirk Cousins will get in the ball and, like you said, take some pressure off of Justin Jefferson. Let him continue to do his thing. Probably, yeah, Justin Jefferson, between him and Jamar Chase, I would say 2 of the top 4 wide receivers in the league. So,
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I like Addison too, especially coming out of USC, who has proven themselves over the past few years that they are a dominant college when it comes to wide receiver talent. So,
welcome to the Big 10, right? Big 12, USC.
USC will be in the Big 10
next year.
I think it starts next year. Yeah. All right, and then the other notable draft pick is round 3, pick 102 is cornerback Mekhi Blackman out of USC. He was a premier tackler at the corner position, which is exactly what you need in the NFL, because when you have runs to the outside and speedy, fast receivers, you got to be able to bring them to the ground. He only missed 3 tackles on 864 snaps in 2022, which is about a 95% tackle rate. If he can translate that to the NFL, that is a very good 3rd-round pick for the Vikings.
I know this is something that you and I talked about when we were preparing for this episode, John. What's up with all of these NFL teams drafting people from the same school?
Yeah, because we talked about it.
We were talking about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, obviously, match made in heaven. And then, the Georgia Eagles?
Yep. They've been drafted 4 of the, their top 4 picks.
Doing that like crazy, though.
Georgia.
Yeah, because, they tried to get Jalen Hurts, who played a little bit with Smith, and then they drafted Smith.
Yeah.
And then the Cowboys, we talked about it last week, getting defensive tackle Mozzie Smith, and then the tight end, also both from Michigan, in the 1st and 2nd round. And then these guys, 1st and 3rd round, both from USC. I don't know. It's just obviously,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, the trend started. I wouldn't say it started with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but we see how well it worked out. Yeah. So, I think maybe teams are kind of leaning towards that mindset behind it a little bit.
A team it did not work for, Raiders. Not drafting wise, but they tried to team up Derek Carr and Devontae Adams back together. And that didn't really. Adams still had a hell of a season.
But yeah, you're right. That did turn out so well for the Raiders. But maybe things are looking up. All right, and then I want to talk about this. Pose this question. It's kind of a question. Is the Vikings cornerback room a cause for concern? So out of the 6 starters, because obviously corners go down, and then you also have to cycle them in and whatnot. So they have Mekhi Blackman, who is a 2nd round 2023 pick. Andrew Booth Jr., who is a 2022 2nd round pick. Those are the 3 and 2 corners on their depth chart. And then obviously they have Byron Murphy, who is coming over from the Cardinals. He's projected to be their CB1. He was a 2nd round pick in 2019. But then they have some unproven 2nd and 4th rounders behind them. Corner is one of the most premier positions in the NFL to make sure that you have a good team. If you have good corners, 9 times out of 10 you have a good defense. So is this a cause for concern? I know that the NFC North doesn't necessarily have super star-studded receivers everywhere, okay? But when they play other teams in the NFC and especially in the AFC, this could be an issue for the Vikings.
Yeah, I would say this is probably where Vegas is saying 8.5 wins. Their defense definitely took the bigger dive this season. They were able to kind of recuperate a few offensive players to replace who left and who they didn't re-sign. But Byron Murphy as your CB1, not a bad place to be, but
Yeah, but I just think just
Not a lot.
outside of him, there's too many like unproven, like, which
they
doesn't
don't-
mean anything. They could be really good ultimately, but
they don't have veteran leadership like they did with Patrick Peterson.
yep.
True.
I like Booth though. He's coming out of LSU, wasn't he, last year?
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Not like he made a huge splash in the league and was one of those top
Like
rookie
we weren't
quarterbacks,
talking
'cause
about
there was
him
quite
like
a few last,
yeah.
but he still did pretty good as a rookie.
I was gonna say LSU is cornerback university, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, you can make that argument
Yeah.
for sure. Patrick Peterson came from there too, right?
Yeah. And I know that Tyrann Mathieu plays safety, but he
also came from there.
hybrid
Right, yeah.
corner as well.
Yeah, that makes sense, definitely. Yeah, I think that's all I have on the Vikings. Anybody want to say anything before we move on? Are we gonna talk about our record predictions now, or do you want to wait till all together, like at the end? Don't matter to me.
We can do it per team.
Yeah,
Alright.
I think per team, because then we can talk about the
Towards the end.
over under again.
All right, bet. So I do have the Vikings taking a little bit of a step back from their 13-4 record last year, but I still think they're going to win this division. I have them at 11-6 and the third seed in the NFC.
That's where I have him as well. 11-6, third seed. Damon's not far behind.
I'm not far behind. I have them going 10-7, but that's going to make them the 6th seed in the NFC, and it's going to put them in second place in this division.
That'd be tough. 10-7, having to play a wild card game.
Yeah, I just feel like that's. Oh, I mean, most of the teams have to play wild card games now, except obviously the number one seed since they changed the formatting a few years ago. But yeah, it's tough.
A road game, 11-6 though. Tough. We were talking about last week with the Cowboys are even in a. I mean, it's better for them because they play a worse team.
Yeah, they could
but
play the NFC South, so that would be okay. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're the 6th seed, you're probably going against like the Niners or the Eagles or somebody in that higher echelons.
Let's see. Lions next.
This has to be probably the most intriguing team around the league for. I mean, I'm not saying for us, but like for people everywhere. If you follow football, you're like, what are the Detroit Lions going to do this season? Because they showed promise last season. They obviously didn't make it all the way to the playoffs. They had a chance, but they didn't make it.
They win like 6 straight.
Yeah, something like that. They were like 3-6, and then they were
9-8 to finish
Yeah.
up the season last year.
Yep. Sorry, is that a touchy subject for you, David? Still, they beat the Packers in Week 18.
Weeks 18.
Yeah.
There are 18 weeks now.
Week 18, and stopped the Packers from making the playoffs and allowed the Seahawks to get in there. They just got roughed up by the 49ers anyway, but it is what it is. All right, Hunty, you want to hit?
It's like the only thing that saved me last year was just telling myself we would have had to play the 49ers, and we
No.
always lose to the 49ers in
So-
the playoffs, so it didn't even really matter to me.
It saved yourself from an extra week of heartbreak.
It's the only thing I could tell myself, yeah.
Just an extra week of heartbreak, so that's all right. It's fine.
Still love you, Cali Kid, but hate your team.
Yeah. I almost forgot Matt was a 49ers fan. That is that's a rough one between you guys. That little rivalry right there.
That Rodgers didn't end up going to the Niners.
I am too.
I really thought that that's what was going to end up happening.
But
They
I
were
think
gonna-
he's still holding the grudge from them not drafting him.
Yeah, but that'd be like the ultimate.
No.
No,
I think he continues to hold out.
it would have been an even bigger story than going to the Jets.
It would have been.
That would
For
have been
sure.
Rodgers, thank you.
Back to Cali.
Back to Cali. Notable free agents that the Lions lost this offseason. Not wide receiver. Well, there's one. Running back Jamal Williams left for New Orleans. He led the NFL last year in touchdowns with 17. I think this is the most notable of their free agents that they lost. Also, wide receiver DJ Shark left for Carolina. Again, every time I see this, I'm like, why are you guys going to Carolina?
They're brewing something down
I don't know about that.
Bruin Elves.
And I don't know how to say
They're
his last
Bruin
name, so I'm going
Elves.
to let one of you guys say that. Do you know how to say his last name?
Who am I looking at?
Amani?
Awuawarie. That's my best go at it.
I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna go ahead and give
Warrior.
you.
I was like, I know he's
Hey.
was in your division, so
Awarie.
maybe you've
Yeah.
heard it a couple more times than I have.
I have, but I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, we talked about him last week. For
Yeah.
your
For the New York
episode.
Giants, yeah.
Yeah, obviously Jamal Williams. Guy cracks me up. Literally said live on Snapback Sports podcast last year that he doesn't even like the game of football. He's just really good at it.
That is literally what he
If
said.
he could travel and watch anime all the time, that's what he wishes that he could do.
And we're back to another episode of Football's Destiny, Part 2 of the NFC North Breakdown.
Oh, I thought we were just going to skip the rest of the NFC North. The rest of the teams are irrelevant other than the Vikings.
Wow,
so-
good one. Ha 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 ha. Where we left off was talking about Jamal Williams and how he's probably the biggest character in the NFL. Man's just likes watching Naruto all day.
Now that Antonio Brown's out of the league, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that was the biggest character. Yeah.
Probably still the biggest character in football, and he doesn't play football.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams leaving, very, very big hole to fill, 17 touchdowns last season. Obviously, I've never really doubted him, but I was very surprised. 17 touchdowns. I don't even know who the last running back was to do that. Adrian Peterson, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
There hasn't really been, I mean, Derrick Henry's him, but I don't think that he's
Henry's
I don't
him.
think he's ever even had 17 touchdowns in a season. So
No, the weird thing for Derrick Henry is he could have way more touchdowns. Just a lot of times they take him out of the goal line package because he's too big.
Yeah.
Like he has to start 15 yards behind the ball to get that running head start, so they don't like having him. And when they do give it to him on the goal line, he just does a pass half the time.
True.
So
All right, let's get back on the Lions train.
Let's see. Gained in free agency. Cornerback Cameron Sutton from Pitt. 3-year, $33 million deal. Running back David Montgomery from Chicago. 3-year, $18 million deal.
That pickup is interesting to me. Well, okay, it makes more sense now, but before they traded DeAndre Swift, which we'll talk about, like it was just so confusing about it. And then they didn't Jamal Williams didn't have a place to go yet either.
Yeah.
So then we're like, what the hell are they going to do with all these running backs, Because honestly, I hope I speak for everybody when I say this. I don't know why the Lions let Jamal Williams go. I was expecting him to return on like a slightly big bag, like at least amount that David Montgomery got, 3 years, 18, like at least something like that.
I think that was more of a him decision.
It might have been, honestly.
Detroit's not the most beautiful part of the country. I know New Orleans isn't
a
ton prettier, but probably a little bit more to do.
Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. I expected them to try to retain him more because obviously,
especially coming off 17 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, leading the NFL last season,
it had to have been a him, just he just didn't want to be in Detroit anymore.
Yeah, honestly, it could have came down to that. Honestly. Anyways, continue.
Also gaining free agency safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from the
interception leader last year.
From the, what do we call them? The Super Bowl runner-up.
Yeah.
The first losers.
The first losers. Cornerback Emmanuel Mosley from the Niners and old-ass wide receiver Marvin Jones from Jacksonville.
You're damn right.
I didn't know this man was still playing.
Yeah, honestly, he's just been bouncing around on 1-year deals, so maybe he'll be a good veteran presence in a younger wide receiver core.
He started off in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure back in Nam.
That's where he got his start. Damn, when Matthew Stafford was throwing in balls.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Wasn't that long ago.
John kind of hit on it a little bit. Traded away running back DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. We talked about that last week, especially losing Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift in the same offseason. Trying to fill that hole with David Montgomery. I think that David Montgomery is a decent running back, but not to fill the hole of both of those players. I don't know why John put that this is notable. They also got Kicker Riley Patterson.
Oh, wow. But that was mean to Riley Patterson. No, it's
That was funny.
And traded away also cornerback Jeff Okuda.
for a fifth
for-
round pick to Atlanta.
I thought Jeff Okuda was going to be good when he got drafted out of Ohio State, right?
Yep. Third overall.
Yeah, right. I thought he was going to be good. And
The Lions aren't very good at drafting.
No, I noticed that in recent years, except they did pretty good with Aiden Hutchinson last year, but
well, that wasn't even. I don't even think that was their decision. It was
They
just
just-
Michigan boy, and
yeah,
it was
they,
like
like,
they
they
knew
had
they would
to.
lose their entire fan base if they didn't.
yeah, you're right. The lack of fan base that already exists. I mean, it's coming
some
back
Lions
now.
fans out
It's
there.
coming back now.
I think Lions fans are pretty faithful. They don't like let it be known that they're Lions fans.
Well,
but
it's because they haven't won the
deep down,
division
they've
since
always been
1993.
Lions fans.
1993.
Yeah, it
It's
was.
not the last time the Cowboys were relevant too.
True. That was a
You
good
just
one.
absolutely
That was a
hated
good
on
one.
them. Yeah, you just said the last time they were relevant.
Oh, dude, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
But
You gonna be able to recover?
barely. Coming back to Jeff Okuda, yeah, we'll see how he does in Atlanta. He didn't play like horribly last season. You know, he was like kind of on. He was battling some injuries, but like when he did play, he was doing all right. Maybe not like a third round or a third overall selection, good, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, he joins the shit show in Atlanta now.
Oh, also Riley Patterson is relevant because when they also retained Michael Badgley 1 year from their team. So why the hell do they have two kickers? They like two active kickers on their roster.
Is Riley the one that got kicked by Urban Meyer?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it? So they're just doing him a favor. They wanted to get him out of Jacksonville.
Well, maybe, but
Oscar Meyer Urban.
I don't get it.
like,
I don't get it.
but like that's like I don't know any team that has two kickers on their roster, and like they're both formidable, like good enough kickers to be
The
on a
Chiefs
team.
have two kickers.
Who?
Justin Reed.
No, I
I was about to
guess.
say, since they have two kickers,
But I don't think Riley Patterson or Riley, wait, is that his name? Patterson is going to play safety either.
Well, he's a kick returner. He's related to Cordero.
Oh, but if that happens, good for him.
I know we talked the NFC East last week, but since they have two kickers, the Cowboys could probably go get one of them since you guys have like a quarter of a kicker.
I don't want to talk about it.
Sorry, we're talking
Oh,
NFC North. I just keep wanting to dig on the Cowboys.
It's fine by me. I don't care.
All right,
Also retained in free agency other than kicker Michael Badgley.
Badgley. Close and
Badgley.
different.
Linebacker Alex Anzalone. Is it Anzalone?
Yep.
Anzalone. I've heard it both ways. 3-year,
Anzalone,
18
I would say.
million. Defensive end. John. Is that Kaminsky?
Yes, it is.
That just doesn't look right. Safety CJ Moore.
Oh, you got that one right though. Oh no, it's easy.
Attaboy.
And guard Graham Glasgow.
Oh, wow. You did good with those last two. No, I'm
I
just
said
kidding.
Kaminsky too. It just didn't look right.
Komsky. No.
It's kind of a tongue twister, that one. Guard Graham Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Guard Graham.
Guard Graham Glasgow.
Guard.
Say that 9 times.
Guard
fast.
Graham. Guard Graham Glasgow. Guard Graham. Graham
You're,
Glasgow.
I'm cutting this off now.
Guard Glass.
Guard.
Graham Gow.
Graham guard guard Graham Glau.
Gow Graham Glass.
Okay. That's enough.
Notable draft picks this year. They took a wide receiver. Why not say? I literally see that it says running back
Right.
in front of my face.
Inside of your face.
What?
That's like, all right, keep
Running
going.
back, Mr. Gibbs from Alabama.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama. Honestly, this is probably the most surprising pick. Like, nobody thought a running back would be
surprised by it.
going, this early, and especially not to the Lions, because obviously at that time they had pretty much their
Two.
running back room figured out.
Pretty much starting running backs.
Yeah. And so I don't understand why they decided
know.
to go with this.
But he is the second best running back in this draft, in my opinion.
The second best? Who do you have as the best?
What do you think is the best?
Oh, Bijan?
Yeah. Man in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Bijan, people are
Down
going to
in
take him
Atlanta.
first overall in fantasy. Robinson,
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That's a
Wild.
stretch.
wild.
That's crazy to me.
I think he's still is
Wide
capable of going in the
receivers.
first round, though.
Wide receivers value in fantasy this year is going to make
It's
running
honestly
backs.
through the roof
Yeah.
right now, especially because just how the trend of the NFL is going. Of like, you have most teams want a running back committee now. So like, if you get like one of those like good workhorses like Derrick Henry or even Saquon, if he decides to come back to the Giants,
He'll be
then
playing
you're
somewhere.
set. But like, if not, then you have to go towards a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson or somebody like that. But I want to talk about really quick. The Detroit defense was god awful last year, bottom of the league for the second straight season. But so everybody thought they were going defense at some point, especially with this pick. But they decided to beef up the backfield instead. Gibbs did rush for over 2,000 yards and had 1,200 receiving yards between his stints at Georgia Tech and Alabama. So that was like combined, like his career. It wasn't just like one season, because that would be absurd if it was just one season. But
Yeah, when I was reading that, I was like, he had 2,000 and 1,000 at
yeah,
Georgia
yeah.
Tech and Alabama.
Yeah,
How did this guy not go first overall?
Yeah, if that was the case, then yeah, I think we'd be talking about running back going first overall.
They
But
also beefed up their defense, though.
kinda. Well, yeah, beef is the beef is the right word.
They took middle linebacker from Iowa, Jack Campbell. Dude is 6'5", 250.
That is huge for a
Looking-
middle linebacker.
Looking like Ish Wainwright out on the football field.
Dude, Vance is beefy. That's like huge for a middle linebacker. Usually, like, it's kind of like the opposite of what people go for. Like when the Cardinals drafted Isaiah Simmons a couple of years ago, where like, he was kind of like a safety hybrid, but they moved him down the linebacker. He's like a little bit quicker, not as stocky. But the Lions said, nope, we need a run stuffer, because Lions run defense allowed 5.22 yards per carry last season, which was third worst in the NFL. So obviously that run defense needs some help.
How did they end up 9-8?
Dude,
No clue. Teams couldn't figure out that they could just run it every single play against
I
them.
guess not.
Gracious. DeAndre Swift and Jamal. Just have DeAndre Swift run down the field and give the rock to Jamal, smash it in.
Yeah, dude, that's what they would do on offense for sure. It's just they ran the ball a lot on offense, but teams ran the ball a lot on defense on them as well.
Staying with our topic of teams taking players from the same college, they took a tight end from Iowa. What is up with this?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess if they work together, Sam Laporta. What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, for as far as tight ends go, it's a great college to get a tight end from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were talking about cornerback university earlier. Definitely could be tight end university, Iowa. Let's see.
Good job, buddy. You have to call him buddy.
Buddy?
Yeah.
Al?
Buddy.
Why buddy?
Just as somebody, Jake Claver in the chat said that if we call him buddy, he'll sub. Buddy.
Thanks, champ.
Thanks for subbing, buddy.
Thanks, bud. Oh, but
What's up, John Buddy?
yuck. Please don't ever do that ever again.
What's up, Johnny Buddy?
Detroit getting Sam Laporta, I think, is pretty good. Obviously, we talked about Iowa tight end university. It's been like that for since George Kittle and stuff came out of there, But last season, Detroit used 4 different tight ends after trading T.J. Hawkinson. So obviously, tight end was a pretty big need for them. And Laporta is Iowa's all-time leader in receptions for a tight end and ranks second in receiving yards. So the fact that he does that amongst the great tight ends that have come out of Iowa shows that he's probably pretty damn good. And we'll see how it goes.
Pretty impressive.
They had 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. Their second-round pick was safety Brian Branch from Alabama. I remember watching him last season, and I mentioned him a little bit earlier, but he reminds me of Tyrann Mathieu. Can play both safety and corner. Played 75% of his snaps last year at slot corner, so playing in the middle of the field is his jam. They also took quarterback Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. I like John's notes here. Security blanket if Jared Goff sucks or goes down with injury.
Yes.
Buddy's words, not ours.
Buddy's words. Oh my god, you guys are ridiculous. But
Hendon Hooker, I wasn't super high on him at Tennessee, but hopefully his game can translate to the NFL.
I was for a little bit, the beginning of the year.
Is that just because of the
Jalen Hyatt?
Yeah, the talent he had around him.
Well, then that's when it dawned on me it's just Jalen Hyatt that was making him that good. But I mean, he would throw 4 touchdowns to him a game, and then you would have 2 others, so you'd have like 6 per game. And I was like,
And we
Cheers.
and we talk about that, and obviously, like, we give wide receivers a lot of respect, but like someone had to get them the ball. Like, and it again, we joke about it, but it isn't just one of those Jalen's down there somewhere. Like,
Maybe it was
Yeah,
not.
it was for Stetson Bennett.
Well, yeah, but he had like the best defense in college football history behind him
Also
as well.
facts.
But yeah, Hendon Hooker. I mean, there's a chance that he plays at some point if Jared, like I said, Jared God sucks, or if he gets injured, because obviously that's a reality in the NFL. People go down all the time.
honestly, Jared Goff is not a bad quarterback to be learning behind.
No, he went to a Super Bowl.
Well, and he's definitely he is a locker room guy. Like, people love being teammates with him. People love him in Detroit. So being able to sit behind Jared Goff.
Honestly, I thought when they traded Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, when that trade happened, I thought that's where Jared Goff's career was going to die, and he has done nothing but impress me over in Detroit so far. I mean, like he's not like blowing your mind, like passing out there, but he manages the game very well, and if Detroit can stay close in games, which they were all last season, even their losses, were pretty damn close. Like I think Jared Goff is more than a formidable quarterback to take them to the playoffs,
I agree.
which is leading me into our record predictions because I do have the Lions making the playoffs. Woo, the drought's over.
All three of us do.
Yep. I have the Lions finishing 10-7 and as the 6th seed and the NFC.
I also have them as the 6th seed, finishing one game lower than that, 9-8.
I have them winning the NFC North at a record of 11-6 and becoming the 3rd seed in the NFC.
All within 2 games of each other. So
Yeah, pretty.
I think I'm the only one that didn't take their over.
Yep, that's true. All right. Yeah,
smashed
you're
the
teetering
under
on
on
it on that edge real quick.
But the Lions also.
It scared me. Sorry, I thought somebody was screaming.
Can you go let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out? Who?
I can't remember what I was going to say now. I lost my train of thought. Oh, the Lions also like to tie a game every year. So
They didn't last year.
I know, but for like 3 years in a row
Yeah,
before they did.
I think we need some buddy merch. No, thank you.
Buddy merch.
I don't think I should do that.
We'll get a Damon's face shirt. Buddy, Johnny the Buddy. Johnny the Bud.
Oh, yuck. Please don't. All right, question really quick. Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs was the right pick at round 1, pick 12? I mean, you obviously could have went more defense because you need it. You could have went, honestly, in any other direction but running back, but you decided to reach and take I say reach because of just the trends in the NFL, but I think it was right.
I'm not a huge fan of taking running backs early, just from what we've seen in the past.
I agree with you that he is the second best running back. They didn't go best overall, and they didn't go best upgrade. With players coming off the board 18 through 22 that arguably are a better football player, but when it comes to running backs, it wasn't a deep running back draft this year.
No, like, obviously, I want to talk about this with the Lions really quick, too. Jameson Williams is suspended for the first 6 games, and he barely played at all last year as well. So, like, I think that was, like, a more of a need. Because right now on the depth chart, Marvin Jones, old man Marvin Jones is your wide receiver 3. And obviously he's going to be wide receiver 2 until Jameson Williams comes back. So, like, I think that was, like, a way more, like, pressing need that they needed to fill. Because they could have went for somebody, like, who went later, like Jackson Smith Najiba, something like that. Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers.
That guy's incredible.
Jordan Addison. So
good.
those guys went 20, 21, 22, 23. The Lions could have easily took one of those guys at 12, and nobody would have batted an eye. They would have been like, that's a great pick for the Lions.
Or they could have traded back.
Even that, too, if they didn't want, like, at 12, they could have got a little bit more capital, maybe gone back to even 18. Or they were already at 18. If they just go back to, like, 20, so they were, like, back-to-back like that, they could have easily got some and more capital later on. So, like, Jahmyr Gibbs could be really good and a really good fantasy player and just overall really good for the Lions, but, like, I don't think it was the best pick for them.
If they had taken Jack Campbell at 12, Jahmyr Gibbs probably would have still been available.
100%. I think so.
I think that because they do have as much draft capital as they do, then they got 2 first-round picks. in the Matthew Stafford trade?
At least, yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah,
It was
but
a
I
couple
thought it
years
was
ago.
last year and this year. I think it's over.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
think
saying
so.
I think it was
Okay,
one
yeah.
of these picks this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
that were
definitely.
Supposed
Still
to be the
was.
Rams.
I think it was the 12.
12.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
Lions were good enough so they were
Be
back
in
in
the
8.
middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Jahmyr Gibbs, good luck to you. But I don't like it. End up being really good, and we're just talking nonsense. But I just don't think for their situation right now that was not the best pick.
We all have them making the playoffs, so
Maybe it'll work out for him. Who knows? Are you excited, David? Because what time it is.
guess what time it is?
This is the part where me and Hunter shut up and we let Damon rant.
There's no way. There's no way you two are quiet this entire segment.
He has to talk about the Jets like half the time.
This is
I
bullshit.
know, so-
The New York Packers?
yeah.
Oh.
The Green Bay Bears.
Dude.
You put that over the G?
You didn't
You
notice
didn't notice that?
No.
It's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Guys are dumb. So we already talked about it. I don't really want to talk about it again, but the Packers unfortunately finished 8-9 last year, and they should have finished 9-8 and made the playoffs, but they couldn't. Vegas odds, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, has this at 7.5. I mean, it's reasonable.
Yeah, I would say.
I'll
I agree.
allow it
Let's-
with all the questions going around this team. So lost in free agency. We lost wide receiver Alan Lazard, wide receiver Randall Cobb, safety Adrian Amos, all to the New York Jets. We lost defensive end Dean Lowry to Minnesota. We already talked about tight end Robert Tonyan to Chicago, which we did not talk about yet because we haven't talked about that team because they're at the bottom. Obviously, they are all the time. Defensive end Jaron Reed to Seattle on a 2-year deal. Players that we gained in free agency is going to be Travarius Moore, safety out of San Francisco, safety Jonathan Owens out of Houston, who is married to Simone Biles.
I didn't know that. I
Yep.
think maybe I did know
Yeah,
that, but I didn't know that was his name.
1 year, $1 million deals for both of them.
Yeah.
Steal.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they probably deserve more than that, but I don't think they deserve a ton more.
Really quick, Damon, I don't mean to cut you off, but we did hit a great milestone. We're at 50 subs now, boys.
50
Wow.
If you're not subbed and you're in here, please do so right now. We'd greatly appreciate it, especially during this wonderful time of Damon's segment of the year.
The Packers signed long snapper Matthew Orzech from the Rams.
Lit.
I know. Our special teams have been pretty atrocious the past couple of years. One of the reasons we lost the last time we were in the playoffs is because, well, we couldn't score any points on offense, but then
Yeah,
we let San Francisco's defense block a punt.
yeah, that was literally the only reason. No offense.
Lone touchdown.
Yeah, no offense could score, but that special teams mess up was what cost you. Yep, so that's tough.
It was a big tough. Traded away some guy named Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
For a bag of chips.
Yeah, pretty much.
You
I
guys
mean,
could
we
end
got
up
number
getting-
13.
You guys could end up getting another first round.
I think it'll happen.
It'll definitely happen.
He plays. Watch him play 64% of the snaps.
Just be a
See,
savage like
who
that.
is that? It was the Colts and Carson Wentz that had that. I thought for sure anytime they were getting killed or
They would
anytime
just
they were
pull
winning.
Just
Yeah,
pull up real quick and then say like
See,
he
but
didn't
then-
play that much.
I
That
feel like
just,
you guys.
that just creates such a precedent that like teams would be allowed to do that.
Yeah, so that
But
would
if
go
any team's greasy enough to do it, it's you guys.
the Jets. Yeah.
We only owe him like $1 million this year, so
See, like I feel like then that would go into like conversations, like how in the NBA they've been talking about, like tanking, issues and stuff. If
65.
people started like actually, like pulling their stars when they're down or whatever to not hit that threshold, I think somebody would step in and be like, hey, like there's got to be some more stipulation to this.
the NFL
But
Players Association would step in and be
feel
like,
like
yeah,
really-
we're gonna go ahead and remove this from every player's contract,
yeah. Or they would just say like, unless it like
unless it's based on
injury or
yeah,
another circumstance like
a
Right.
like that.
doctor outside of the football team.
Something like that. Yeah,
we want
definitely.
we want a third and fourth opinion.
Some things I am happy about in free agency. We retained cornerback and kick returner Keyshawn Nixon. I am super excited to watch this guy play. It's been a while since the Packers have had a decent return man, and I'm I can get excited for punt returns and kick returns.
Yeah, dude,
'Cause he pretty much single-handedly won that Week 17 game against Minnesota
yeah, he
for
was
us
crazy.
and kept us alive until the Lions ruined it.
And just reports coming out of Packers training camp was that like there's a good chance that he starts at nickel corner this season. So like he'll get some playing time on the defensive end as well. So it could be really big for you, especially on a 1-year, $4 million deal. Like
Yeah.
he shows out, you might have to pay him a little bit more next year, but
Well,
like,
I mean, the reason we're doing that though is because like Stokes has not shown up.
like he was
which
really
is
good
sad.
for like 5 weeks, I feel like, of his NFL career, and then
So
outside
sad.
of that,
He should be so much better. So it'll be a battle between him and Nixon. See who gets that slot cornerback position. Because I mean, cornerback 1 and cornerback 2 were pretty good at Douglas and Jair.
yeah, definitely.
Notable draft pick for my Packers, round 1, number 13 overall. This we did get from the New York Jets in the Aaron Rodgers trade. We drafted Lucas Van Ness, defensive end out of Iowa. Yes and no. I'm really happy about this. Yes, I'm happy because I think he is a beast. Coming out of Iowa, watching some of his film tape, he's already proven that he's pretty much NFL ready because the left tackle, Peter Strowowski or whatever his name is, who's supposed to be really, really good left tackle, he multiple times made this man look foolish on that tape. Running through him, running around him, spinning around him. It was awesome. I loved watching that highlight tape. So I'm happy that we got him. I think he's going to be really good on the other side of Preston Smith.
Question for you about him real quick. You know how many games he started at Iowa?
No, I don't.
None.
0.
Really?
Yeah, such a stud for coming off the bench. But yeah, he sat behind 2 fifth-year seniors that started the games.
They were like
So he was a backup? He was just being thrown in there?
technically, but like, okay, so obviously you
Splitting
start
time.
the 5th-year seniors because they've been there. They're culture guys in your program. But yeah, he'd come out the bench, but he would play the majority of the game. Okay, but like still, he never started a game in his college career.
Well, this, folks, is just a classic case of not doing your research and homework and just looking at a highlight tape that someone created because it looked fantastic on the highlight tape, and still excited about him.
No, I would be too, honestly. I
It's a
mean,
pretty high draft pick.
at number 13 is kind of concerning. I don't know. Like, he might be really good. I can see him being really good. But I guess another question is, like, where's he going to go, though? He's going to be another rotational, like, pass rusher because you have so many already.
Right, but we lost Dean Lowry, who was a part of that, and we also lost Jaron Reed, who was a part of that last year. So I'm okay. I would rather have him than Dean Lowry 100% without even knowing. Because Dean Lowry didn't really do anything.
Oh, yeah, and I guess also, like, Rashawn Gary had that, like, elbow injury last season that kept him out for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, I don't think in the NFL you can have too many pass rushers.
Right.
Because
So
you can just keep rotating them in, and if you have fresh guys all the time that can really get to the quarterback, that can do some damage.
right. So we'll be a rotation on the defensive line of Luke Van Ness. It's going to be Preston Smith, unless he plays outside linebacker. But TJ Slayton in the middle at nose tackle and Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark.
Devontae Wyatt from last year out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Despite not starting any games, he had 14 sacks and 20 and a half tackles for loss during his career there, which was 4th best for the Big Ten.
For not being a starter, yeah, that's damn good.
Well, and again, because he's so honestly used to coming off the bench, that role might be the best for him so that he can be that fresh set of legs for the second unit.
Yeah, he could be really good. I don't mind this pick at all, but I don't know. Like, we joke about it all the time, but Packers still not going offense, even though Aaron Rodgers is gone. Like, your GM is just stuck in his ways. He's like, defense.
He likes.
I'm all right with it.
If you're all right with it, I'm all right with it.
I'm all right with it. We seem to do pretty good in drafting offensive players in the second round, which leads me into my second round draft pick at pick number 42. We also got that draft pick from the Jets. Thank you. We got Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Oregon State. He's not the tight end that I wanted. Obviously, I thought the Iowa guy was going to drop to me for some reason. He shouldn't, but who Detroit got, that's who I wanted. But all reports out of training camp is that he has the starting job at tight end, and he's looking good, NFL ready.
Yeah, because Big Bob Robert Tunyon went across the way to the Chicago Bears.
Chi-Town.
And we did not re-sign Mercedes Lewis, which is another thing to point out, that Luke Musgrave is more of the Robert Tonyan-esque route runner tight end who can still do a little bit of pass blocking. But later in the draft, we drafted another tight end, and I'm blanking on his name right now. But the reason we got him is because he's a bigger guy who's more of the Mercedes Lewis run block, maybe red zone threat.
Even though Mercedes Lewis is old, playing
Still
for you guys,
phenomenal.
he does a damn good job of run blocking. That's her name.
Yeah.
Is
So
he still a free agent right now?
Believe so.
I know there was obviously.
Don't quote me on that.
I know there's rumors of him going to New York, but
rumors just because.
yeah,
No,
just
like
Actual rumors.
yeah.
Okay, I thought you were just saying that because
No, like,
everybody's going to New York from Green Bay.
But let's talk about it really quick because you talked about your tight end. The only tight ends that went before were Dalton Kincaid, which you talked about with the Bills, Sam Laporta, Detroit Lions,
That's
Michael
what it was.
Mayer, Notre Dame, Las Vegas Raiders. Personally, as another team, my Dallas Cowboys, who took a tight end in the second round, I was hoping for that guy, Michael Mayer. Obviously, that didn't work out. And then you guys took Luke Musgrave at 42, and then the Cowboys took Luke Schoonmaker at 58, so a little bit later in the second round. But
I think we've been disrespecting him because everything that I've been seeing, people keep saying Schoonmaker.
why is there
I don't know, but that's like ESPN and NFL Network keep saying it's Schoonmaker
Schoonmaker it is.
or Schoonmaker. I like Schoonmaker more, but
Schoonmaker. Yeah,
Schoonmaker.
it doesn't sound
It
as good.
doesn't sound the same.
But yeah, Luke Musgrave, I mean, he didn't play a lot last season because he was down with injury at Oregon State.
He was.
But he still was really good in the season before that, so I don't hate this pick either. You needed a tight end, honestly.
Yeah,
you need
no,
more
we
weapons
really did.
around.
And especially with having a quarterback come in that hasn't played hardly at all yet, that's what you want for a rookie quarterback or a guy who hasn't really played, is to have a nice, secure tight end, last resort check down.
Open middle of the field.
Hopefully.
Don't have to try to huck it down the field
Right.
or take a sack.
Make it easier for him instead of trying to scan one wide receiver to the other side of the field, second wide receiver, you just check down right to the middle, right in front of you, hopefully.
This next guy is who I'm actually pretty excited for.
I am too. I hate Michigan State, but in round 2, number 50 overall, we selected Jaden Reed, wide receiver out of Michigan State. He was a beast in Michigan State. He torched Wisconsin. So I'm really happy with it.
Badger.
Yeah,
Woo, Bucky Badger.
I just didn't like him when he was at Michigan State, but I'm happy to have him on the team as a Packer for sure. Going into what you guys were talking about earlier of we don't draft an offensive player in the first round besides
why.
Jordan Love, it's true because we have a track record of it. And that's why I'm okay with it too, is because when we can go out and get Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and last year Christian Watson, all coming out of the second round, I'm okay with it.
If Jaden Reed ends up becoming a fraction of
Any of those guys.
we'll say the first 4. Christian Watson still has time to, like, he was obviously very good this last year, but he still has time. But those other 4 guys have already.
One of them's arguably a Hall of Famer.
I would say 2 of them are arguably Hall of Famers.
Ooh, I'll take that. I wasn't going to go that far. All the rest of them, except for Christian Watson's in the Packer Hall of Fame someday, 100%.
Those
Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
those 5 though: Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and Christian Watson. They were all catching balls from Aaron Rodgers, not Jordan Love. So we'll see if it's the
But I
Packers'
believe
drafting ability.
Greg
or,
Jennings was a part of that transition of going from Brett
That
Favre to
part is
Aaron
true.
Rodgers,
Yeah.
where
But-
nobody thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be anything compared to Brett Favre.
Yeah.
That's true. No, I agree. Christian Watson, sorry, Damon, to bring this up. The only thing that I think about, I'm glad that he turned around in the second half of the year, because the first thing when we were watching Week 1 against the Vikings, it's the first play that he could ever have, and he could have started off his career with a bag.
That would have made this season so much different if that was a touchdown.
Yeah, literally, like that just set like a tone. I feel like, and it just was like, like it
wouldn't
just
have
was
had to
so
worry about the
wishy-washy.
Lions game at the end of the
You know,
season.
like
Yeah.
towards like in the beginning of the season, there's just so many ups and downs with Christian Watson. He figured it out, and he had a lot of touchdowns in a short amount of time in the second half of the season. But like, if he could have started off like with a bang, I'm another guy that thinks like Rodgers goes away from people that he doesn't trust. You know, Like we've seen it before. Like we talked about it last season. Like will Aaron Rodgers trust these young guys?
Yeah.
And I think as soon as like that happened, it just kind of set like a trajectory like downwards. And then he gained it back. But like if he would have not had that dip, we could have been talking about something way different last season. I don't want to bring up like last season because obviously it's a new season. Jordan loves the man, but
Right.
like it just
The only thing else I'll bring up from last season is it was nice at least to see Jordan Love and Christian Watson connect, I believe, twice for a touchdown.
against the Eagles.
Sick. Was it actually?
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't remember.
yeah. It was like a Sunday night football game. But Aaron Rodgers got hurt and Jordan Love came in.
Wow.
And
Packers. His sixth favorite team.
more like 30
Cowboys,
yeah.
Bears,
Behind the-
Titans, Cardinal, yeah,
No.
something like that.
behind the. At least the Eagles are still below you.
Sweet.
Don't dig yourself a bigger hole.
All right, but yeah, I mean, I think I give this offseason for the Packers a B plus. I think it.
Thank you.
I think it went pretty well.
I did.
All things
It could
considered.
have been a lot worse. I don't know if I'd rate myself a B plus or them a B plus, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse.
I love the Packers. They gave me my quarterback.
Yeah,
this offseason.
congrats. I mean, we gave you Brett Favre before too, but you guys didn't do anything with him.
With Brett Favre.
We also didn't give you all of our offensive weapons with him, though.
Yeah.
We kept those.
Yeah, we kept ours too.
Yeah, you should have gave some of them back,
No.
and not Corey Davis.
Yeah, you guys can have.
No, that's fine.
You could have got Elijah Moore, but he ended up going to the Browns.
One last segment on my Packers for the fun of me being a Packer fan. I do want to kind of say this. My most underrated Packer in Packer history is going to be Amon Green. He played 8 seasons as a Packer. 6 of those seasons he rushed for over 1,000 rushing yards. In 2003 he had 1,800 rushing yards and 15 rushing touchdowns. Along with that, he had 5 reception touchdowns that same year. Like back then, you don't really get MVP as a running back, but today, if that would have happened, I think you would have been in the discussion of MVP along those lines. He holds the Packers rushing yards, most rushing yards in Packer history with 9,205. That was as a career. I think it was like somewhere around 7,000, 8,000 as a Packer alone. So that's just my most underrated Packer in Packers history. He is a Packer Hall of Famer, I believe, but there's just no chance he makes the actual Hall of Fame, and I think that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Amon Green.
And to keep pouring salt in my wound, I guess I will. Not that we
You
haven't
opened
talked
it.
about me getting hurt enough last season and previous seasons in playoffs, but my most exciting and saddest moment in Packer fan history was the 2015 playoff divisional game against the Arizona Cardinals. We were down by 7. Clock was starting to run out. We had a 4th and 20. Rodgers rolled out to his own end zone, found Jeff Janis for about a 40-yard gain and to keep that drive alive. Then, with time expiring, throws up a deep Hail Mary again to Jeff Janis, who catches it over Patrick Peterson, and I was ecstatic. We're going into overtime in the divisional round. Only to then let Larry Fitzgerald be wide open in the middle of the field and then to just kind of jog his way to the end zone as our defense could not even play flag football and take the flag off of them if that's what they were actually playing. So that was, I may have cried after that game.
So, question for you: you gonna cry more this season than that game?
No, because that season I had very high expectations for us.
Gotcha.
He said this year they're kind of down here.
Oh yeah.
Hey, they're not that bad for all of us. Honestly, the predictions aren't that bad. But before we get to those, I just want to pose this question really quick. Obviously, as a Packer fan, do you think
You're a Packer fan?
to
you
you
as
because
a
you're a
Packer
Packer as a Packer?
I don't think that's what he said.
He's a Green Bay Packer fan. I'm a New York Packer fan.
Respectfully. So, as Packers fans, do you think Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Jalen Reed are enough at receiver for this season and in the future? Like, do you need to get a veteran guy to come in and help these guys, or do you ride the young wagon?
Nope. We are not in rebuild. We are in development. Is
Okay.
what I'm going to call it. So yes, actually a veteran wide receiver to come in and teach and mentor for this season would be fantastic. But I think coming up with more chemistry and giving them as many reps on the field as possible at Jordan Love is going to help out tremendously. I don't have high expectations of them being able to make the playoffs this year. So this is just kind of going to be one of those things of building team chemistry and getting ready for next year. And hopefully in 3 years, we'll be actually in the playoffs and competing for a Super Bowl. And if not, we're going to have to then probably do the rebuild.
Then rebuild is
Like
Might
like
be
an
necessary.
actual rebuild.
Because by then you'll probably know if Jordan Love is actually that guy or not, getting rid of him, extending him. Actually, I think next year we have to extend him if we want to. So,
pick up his 5th-year option or not.
yeah.
All right, let's go on the record predictions for the Green Bay Packers. I have them at 9-8 and just barely missing the playoffs as the 8th seed.
We actually all have them 9-8.
I also have them at 9-8. I have them at the 8th seed as well as John, and just barely missing the playoffs.
I have them at 9-8, and being 1 seed higher, I would actually kind of interested to compare the 3 and making the playoffs as a 7th seed, which means that they'd either have to play the Niners or Eagles or
Lions. No, I'm just kidding. Not the
whoever
Lions.
else. would end up being
Niners,
that.
Eagles are probably going to be somewhere around the 1 and the 2.
Scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. We can go ahead and I'll be excited if we make the playoffs. I just won't be as
Excited to watch that game.
But at least I'd be able.
Football is playoff football.
Right, anything can happen.
Yeah.
It is that one game. It's not a series either, so it's anything really can happen. And I'd be able to rub it in a lot of people's faces because a lot of people have just written us off completely.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's people out there that have the Packers at 5-12, or even worse than that. So I don't expect them to fall off like that hard. Their defense is still can be when they want to be a top 10, but like it's just can they live up to that on the defensive end if the offense isn't as great as it could be,
John and I were talking about this today, and this is no disrespect. This is just talking pure football. But your team is the one with the lowest ceiling and lowest floor this year out of our 3 teams. But I think that they also have the best ability to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah.
It's like
I agree with that.
with our teams, especially his team has been relevant for the last 3-4 years. Your team as well. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers leaving a couple years ago, he was the MVP, but he's been able to help develop Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I really don't see them finishing under 500, especially in their division.
But
they get to play the Bears twice.
Go.
Hey, what do you mean? If somebody tunes in for the first time right now, they think we're a Bears podcast. Like he said, God damn. I'm just still keep on thanks.
Oh, he's keeping his on because it's not a real jersey.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's keeping his on because he's actually a Bears fan.
Oh,
He is.
jeez, Rick.
Closeted Bears fan.
Well,
It's not very closeted.
closeted Bears fan. All right, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Unless anybody, because I know we do have a lot of people that tune in from Wisconsin who also like the Packers. If anybody wants to pose a question or say anything about the Green Bay Packers, go ahead and do so right now.
Matson's still in here? Yo, Matson. Talking Bears. You better be in here.
Yep, it's about time for the Chicago Bears.
See?
All right, I'm just gonna move on to the Bears. If I see something about the Packers later, I'll check it.
Pause.
Yep.
We can
We can
always pause the Bears segment. Honestly, to start off with, FanDuel Vegas has them at 7.5 wins.
Yeah.
It's obviously a big jump from where they finished last season. Obviously, they had injury issues.
Yeah, I think 3-14, like what they went last year, was like literally the floor. Like
Yeah.
they were in a lot more games than their record shows. Like they weren't.
They reminded me of a couple years ago. There was a completely different team, but the Ravens, I think it was 2018 or 19, they had 7 losses within 3 points, and I feel like the Bears were
They were close with that.
Really in games, and really thanks to Mr. Fields here.
You're not holding your mic.
Hopefully.
I don't know if any of that got picked up.
Probably not.
All right, hit it again. I want to hear.
It's a really good point.
Yeah, it really was.
Goodness gracious. Well, hopefully you guys could hear part of that, but Say it again. Vegas has them at 7.5. They finished 3-14. What I was saying is a couple years ago, the Ravens finished with like 7 losses within like 3-4 points. Bears were same thing last year. They were always within, keeping games close into the fourth quarter. Light skinned Jesus helped them with that. But I think that they got significantly better on both sides of the ball this offseason. So
Yeah, just some like notable games. Just looking back on the offseason, lost to the Giants by 8, the Vikings by 7, so like 1-score games. They lost to the Commanders by 5 on a 12-7 game. It's disgusting. They were 3 points away from beating the Dolphins, 35-32. Lions 31-30. Falcons 27-24. Like they were in, even Eagles 25-20. Like they were in these games. Like obviously some of them were blowouts. Like the Lions beat them 41-10, or the Bills beat them 35-13.
as
But
they
like,
should.
but there's that you can expect that with the team that was the Bears caliber last season. But there's no way they shouldn't have beaten. Like I think this season they beat teams like the Commanders and the Falcons and like teams like that were barely edged them last season on a field goal at the end or something like that. I think they're good enough to win by a touchdown or more now. But I guess what time will tell.
They had 2 notable free agents lost this year. We already talked about it. I'm going to say it right this time. Running back David Montgomery,
Not wide receiver.
not wide receiver. Went to Detroit on a 3-year deal. They lost Riley Reef,
Who?
not Riley Reed, Riley Reef to New England. I don't know what that smile means.
What?
In free agency, they absolutely bolstered their defense this offseason.
Hell yeah, brother.
We already talked about both of these players because we've talked about both of their previous divisions, but they got linebacker Tremaine Edmonds from Buffalo and linebacker TJ Edwards from the Eagles. I think that, again, they really like going out and getting linebackers. Obviously, 3-4 years from now, they'll trade them away for a bag of chips, but hopefully they can make a difference.
No, obviously, I think it's probably going on 2 years now, but obviously the middle of that defense was Roquan Smith for the longest time, and they traded him away, because he was unhappy, didn't want to be there anymore. So the fact that they were able to bring in people that actually wanted to be there, even didn't Tremaine Edmonds, I'm almost positive that he said like, I kind of want to be a part of a rebuild. I want to build something from the ground up. Is what he actually wanted. So the fact that
the Booker mindset.
So
I want the super team to come to me.
So like the fact that they have
Actually
a core now that is committed to trying to make them, the next best thing versus holding, don't want to say like hostage, like holding Roquan Smith hostage because he's one of the best linebackers in the league, but he didn't want to be there anymore,
Khalil Mack too.
Yeah, let them go and get people that want to be a part of your culture, which I think they did with Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards.
I think they're both like 26, 27 years old too.
Yep, low to mid 20s. Like they could be. Obviously 4 and 3 year deals respectively.
Well, and I think that again, even Bears fans that I know, they know that they're not competing for a Super Bowl this year, but they're not far away from being able to compete in playoffs. I don't think that they make the playoffs this year, but it's baby steps. The Eagles didn't get good overnight.
When Jalen Hurts came in against the Packers for the first time ever, he didn't and played for the rest of the season. Nobody thought the Eagles would be in the Super Bowl a year later, 2 years later, So like it's on the development of Justin Fields, obviously, because quarterbacks are hot ticket items nowadays. Everybody says defenses win championships, which is true, but you also need at least above average quarterback play. So as he continues to develop, you're right. Like they're not far off. I don't think they're there yet, though.
Well, like I said, those are the two main for their defense. Obviously, we'll come back to these other that they gained in free agency, but getting DJ Moore, trading them one overall pick for DJ Moore this year, they did make a move that says to me at least that they're trying to win right now. I don't think that it's going to translate to being able to be playoff contenders. I think that they're still going to be cuties in this division, but
cuties,
contenders are cuties.
But so I agree that getting DJ Moore tells you that you're going to win now. But I think they got such a steal from the Panthers that like they also showed that we have draft capital if these things don't work out.
Yep.
Because they got first round 9, which was, we'll talk about that, and then they got second in this year's draft, a first-round pick in 2024 and a second-round pick in 2025. So you have top picks in the next 2 drafts coming up.
Yeah, it's not like you're not trading capital away from 4 or 5 years from now. It's just within the next
And that
couple
was
years where this team is going to be together still. So if it's not working, then I mean, again, like we were talking with the Packers, they've kind of already been in rebuild mode, and they're not afraid to continue to have to cycle in.
So like when you brought up like the next 2 drafts, like that would be when Justin Fields' 5th-year option is. That would be where T.J. Edwards on the last year of his deal. Like that's like they set themselves up for like to push really hard for the next 3 years to see if they can get to a tier that they can be making the playoffs consistently. And if they get to that tier, then obviously they're going to start working towards maybe making a little bit more of like a splash with like older guys, trying to bring them in with that draft capital that they have.
Yeah.
But
let's see.
You don't have any 2 cents on the Bears, Damon? I'm surprised you're real quiet over there. Big rivals.
You guys were just talking
Yeah.
so much. I mean, yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. 100%.
A couple other the free agents that they gained this year. Go back to that. Guard Nate Davis from the Tennessee Titans. Defensive end DeMarcus Walker, also from Tennessee. They signed XFL standout quarterback PJ Walker. I think that that's pretty significant for them. Obviously, they have Justin Fields, but to be able to have a guy that's, I'm not going to say just as versatile as Justin Fields, but has the potential to come in, and I think that there could be specific offensive sets that they can kind of build around him for when Justin Fields is out of the game. We had talked about adding Robert Tonyan, signing with them. They also signed Dante Foreman from the Panthers.
Which I think is huge. I think he can be a starting running back in this league. I'm a little bit biased on that because there was a fantasy year where Derrick Henry went down, and I was the guy to be able to get Foreman off the waiver wire.
When he was on Atlanta?
No, when he was in Tennessee.
Oh.
When Henry got hurt, he took over, and he pretty much almost put up same fantasy numbers in that stretch as Henry was.
Anyway, real quick before we get into more football knowledge, anybody got a good joke? We're being requested for a joke.
Oh, I got one. Ready?
The Bears.
I was going to say the Dallas Cowboys, but
ouch. Yeah, that's about as
good joke. Let me see. Does it have to be appropriate?
I mean, not necessarily, but don't go overboard.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, maybe that was the right. No, that was...
No, I won't tell that joke. Someone else's turn.
All right, well, we'll come back on the jokes.
Our stand-up comedians in the other room.
Yeah, sorry. You'd be like, shut up. We need a good joke.
J Book, we need a joke.
I think it's funny that Megan was the one who said that, but said
Laurel needs a joke.
Make some jokes, and then I said the Bears. She's a Bears fan.
Yep. That's
Megan's a Bears fan?
Nah, Laurel is a big Bears fan.
Huber.
Yeah.
Does he like football?
Yeah, he's a Packers fan.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's divide and conquer the household.
That's rough.
All right, let's continue. If we got any good jokes, maybe we'll have the jokester segment come on here soon.
We'll come up with some joke by the end.
Besides the Bears. Sorry, Mom.
You're not that sorry. Isn't she actually a Cowboys fan?
Well,
Is it more sorry, Dad?
Yeah.
They both like the Bears, so I can't. My bad.
He's a very confused fan growing up.
I was.
Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Pakula, for him. The real joke. Sorry. I'm so sorry. That was rude. I know you guys love him.
That was a good
I've
one.
never said anything that mean.
I'm sorry.
That was a good one, though.
But you raised a Cowboys fan.
They're Cowboys fans.
No, it was a good one, though. None taken.
I apologize to you guys.
Don't apologize. Oh.
For having to raise him.
Right back down. Alrighty. Let's keep her going with the Bears.
Let's see. Retained in free agency, wide receiver Dante Pettis, 1 year, $1.2 million deal. Obviously, DJ Moore is the wide receiver 1 there now.
Darnell Mooney.
hmm?
Darnell Mooney's the 2. You're not
I've
not
always
big
been,
on him.
I'm very low. I've always been very low on Darnell Mooney.
I think
My-
Mooney's good.
My brother Mattson, big Bears fan, has always been talking about him. I think he's mid at best. I hope that he can prove me wrong, but
I hope he
mean,
doesn't, but I think he's good.
I mean, I never wish on anyone's downfall, but
Right.
Other than Cowboys fans. Notable draft picks this year. Bears took number 10 overall Darnell Wright out of Tennessee.
This guy over Jalen Carter tried to back 1 pick with the Eagles and allowed them to get Jalen Carter. Which pissed me off on draft night.
I don't think
but
it's one of those things. I've watched different, draft day negotiations when they're trading picks and stuff, and some teams will straight up ask, like, if we trade you this pick, who are you gonna take?
and some people will be like, yeah, I'll tell you, and other people will be like, kind of keep that leverage.
Falling back here, whether they wanted Jalen Carter or not, they still got a guy that's going to help on the offensive line, going to help Justin Fields not get absolutely demolished.
That's the thing, though, is that the Bears' offensive line last year was atrocious.
Horrible.
Justin Fields was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL, and just think about this man's running ability and how much he had to scramble outside of the pocket.
I was about to say,
So
other than watching as many Cardinals games as I have to because I live here, like, the Bears' offensive line was so atrocious.
Yeah, like, think about if somebody who's not mobile, like a Matthew Stafford or a Tom Brady or somebody was behind that Bears offensive line, we'd be talking about historical sack numbers because Justin Fields made it so that he did not get sacked.
I've been following Justin Fields since his senior year of high school, and I really think that, again, he's not the issue here.
No, I don't think so either.
Like, I know that he was hurt for a little bit last year.
Yeah, not very long, though. But, yeah, I get what you're
Damn
saying.
near 1,000-yard rusher as a quarterback. Like, he has that potential.
He is a running back.
No.
He is a...
If you look at his stats and just tape at Ohio State when he actually had a good offensive line behind him and playmakers on the
wide
outside,
receivers.
he was a great passer. It just when the Bears did not have great wide receiver talent and still have a mediocre
terrible
offensive line. So he has to Houdini that shit.
Running back.
False.
Like I said, 3 and 14 was a little tough for them last year.
Yeah, it's a little too low, but
let's see. Second round, they took Jervon Dexter. I really wonder how people come up with names nowadays. Defensive line out of Florida. Obviously heavy on the defense this offseason for the Bears. This guy's 6'6", 310 pounds that ran a 4.88 40.
That is insane.
We were talking about homeboy earlier that's 6'5", 250. This guy's 6'6", 310 pounds, and he can move at a 4.88.
Yeah,
dude's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, he's a big boy moving around.
The 5th fastest time among all defensive linemen.
And if you think about it,
at the NFL Combine,
there's other defensive linemen that are 260 or
not 310
not
pounds.
310, and he was still in the top 5 of the fastest. That is insane. So yeah, this guy might be a freak of nature out there on the defensive line, right in the middle. But it did address the biggest hole of defense. We talk about the Lions' rush defense being atrocious. The Bears were not too far behind them last season as well. They did not do very well in the rushing defense category. So you got a big buy, like big guy. I said big buy because I was looking at his name.
I thought you said big body. You like his big body?
Like Dexter here, Mr. Dexter out of Florida. Like he could be really good, really solid for them in the middle of that interior defensive line.
Mattson said, "We got the guys we wanted. Damon's an op."
Damon is an op for you. All right, let's talk about the record predictions.
That is the draft music. It doesn't make any sense.
I had the Bears going 8-9, which is barely less than the Packers this season. I think the NFC North as a whole will be decent, but yeah, Bears are just slightly just be out of the playoff picture. I mean, they'll be talked about when weeks coming up. I think it'll be fluctuating around 500 all season. But yeah, ultimately they're not going to make it 8 and 9.
I completely agree with you. Obviously, we touched on it. Looking back on their schedule last year, I think that some of those games that could have gone either way, some of those will end up going their way this year. I also have them going 8-9, finishing as the 9th seed. Obviously, looking on the outside of playoffs, but 8-9 is a hell of a lot closer than 3-14. And like I said, I think that this team really did get better on both sides of the ball this offseason.
I think it got slightly better on the offense. And I mean, DJ Moore is a huge part of that. Their run game is going to struggle, I believe. Defensively, I think they got much better. But unfortunately, I don't think that defense is going to necessarily turn into wins for you.
Yeah.
You can call me biased all you want for being a Packer fan with this record prediction, but I already put the Vikings and the Lions ahead of the Packers, and I hated doing that. Yeah. So just realistically, sorry, I just think the Bears are going to go 6-11 this year.
Which is honestly, again, still an upgrade. If they can do that, win 3 more games this year, turn that around, win another 3 games the following year, they're a playoff team or damn near it.
Yeah.
And again, Justin Fields is 24 years old.
Yep.
Like 23, 24 years old. And
yeah, I mean, he's got 2 more years on his rookie deal. That's something I wanted to bring up too, is like,
that's even before his 5th year option. They still have time.
Yeah, so they have this year. This year is 3rd year technically. Yeah. So this year, next year, and then they could pick up the 5th year option. So like, well, that's the question I was going to bring to you. If he had a pretty good season, all things considered. I mean, the record didn't show for it, but Justin Fields individually had a good season last season. Does he earn an extension before the 5th year option comes up within the next couple of years, or do you think the Bears aren't like super sold on that idea? Yeah.
With having part of my family be from Chicago and seeing all of how their front office operates, he gets probably an extension sometime this next season.
I would think so too.
Especially if halfway through the season they have an above 500 record, they don't even have to finish out the year before they would give him an extension. And he's obviously not worth max money at this point, but able to lock down a guy that is as versatile as Justin Fields is, you just don't want to see him walk.
Yeah,
you don't want to have to only be able to bring him back in 3 years on a franchise tag. You want to be able to lock him down.
Any point within the next 2 to 3 seasons, if they are a surprise playoff team at any point in that, I think that earns him. That's enough to earn him like his extension.
Yeah.
But would he be willing to sign that contract? Because I guarantee his agent would say, in your best interest, Justin Fields, is to wait, let the quarterback market continue to grow, and see you develop as a player so you could possibly get a max contract at the end there.
See, yeah, that's the other side of it. See, obviously it's 2 sides to this thing, because like we were thinking about it more about the team wise, but then you're thinking about it more individual wise. So both points are like make sense to me. I think that is possible, but I think also, especially with just how sports contracts work, your next paycheck isn't always guaranteed. They can cut you at any point if something were to go wrong. So I think if the money's on the table and it's a decent amount of money that, you look at how much other quarterbacks are being paid, but if it's even in the mid to upper tier of what other quarterbacks are getting paid, I think you go for it.
Matson said in the chat, he quoted Bears GM Ryan Poles, "We're going to take the North and never give it back."
Okay.
You no longer have the most wins in NFL history, and the trophy is named after a great Green Bay Packer legend, Vince Lombardi.
You are only speaking facts here.
Okay, Ramsey.
And technically, the New York Jets now own your team.
True.
Okay, Ramsey Bolton.
That went with the trade. You guys got that. You got ownership of the Chicago Bears with that trade.
We can put that up at MetLife Stadium.
You can, yes.
Awesome.
Jordan Love doesn't own it. That's for sure. Not yet.
That was your dad in the chat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I apologize. Mr. Bakula, your son's one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life.
That's what I said. It's all jokes. It's all love. It's not like that. It was a joke.
I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't love your son. So
that's funny though that you saw that. But I missed
it.
I was like, why did you comment in the chat?
No, I was like, that's my father.
That's Senior.
Yeah, that's John Bakula Senior out there. But I made a Game of Thrones joke. I said, Ryan Poles more like Ramsey Bolton. We're taking the North. We're never giving it back. Sorry, I'm binge watching Game of Thrones right now. It's on my mind. But alrighty, I think it's time for the most anticipated segment, the NFC North draft.
I did not prepare for this, so I will be going off the top of my head, but I think I'll be okay.
So I think that because I went first for mine and he went first for his, I think it'd just be fair if we let you go first.
With the number 1 pick in the
Oh,
NFC
goddamn it, why
North
did you do that?
draft, I will be taking wide receiver from the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson.
Okay,
Thank you very much, boys.
There's no surprise there that he was going to go for. If he's in any division, arguably he goes first overall. So
Yeah, and at least I wasn't biased and take somebody from my own team.
well,
I'm the only one that did that.
I know, but he should have. He actually had a good reason to.
Yeah.
All right, I want to go third.
Why? I should make you go second now.
No, jeez. We don't have rock paper scissors for it.
I'll go second. I gotta think about this. I'm going off the top of my noggin too.
Yes.
Nice. It's kind of how we should do it.
I prepared
Yeah.
personally because I was struggling last week on my own division for some damn reason.
Well, that's
so
kind of the point I'm at right now too. I'm just trying to think about.
Yeah,
it
that's
in my
why I
head.
didn't.
You're gonna have a lot of clip editing. to
Yeah,
do for
exactly.
this
Which is
TikTok.
why I was more willing to do research this time because I was like, I didn't want to fucking just wait.
If I don't take a Bears player, Matthew's gonna clown me, so I'm not gonna take a Bears player so that he can clown
The
me.
Gilbert Hunties are on the clock.
The killer.
The Gilbert Hunties. Let's see. Second overall.
Just to recap, first overall, wide receiver Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm
The
gonna take
obvious second pick.
cornerback Jair Alexander
Thank you.
from the Green Bay
Thank
Packers.
you.
Yeah, that was my
Thank
one.
you.
That was
is
my
the
one,
obvious second pick.
and
Thank
my
you.
two.
There was only one other person that I was thinking of, but hopefully he doesn't take him.
So
He's got 2 picks right here.
yeah, with my third pick, I'm going to take an offensive lineman from the Detroit Lions, offensive tackle Penei Sewell. It's going to be my first pick.
Do you want to make the statement
In the
now
third
or
round.
after the draft? Of I don't think that's the best offensive tackle in this division.
Oh, there's another one too.
You can take them if you want.
You can take
No,
both of them.
I'm not going
Double
to
up?
take both of them.
Bolster your
Offensive line.
just three
Do
offensive
something that-
linemen.
The Bears don't know how to do.
Yikes.
Get an offensive line.
I was about to say, I guarantee you're not going to take an offensive lineman from the Bears.
So, with my second pick, first,
In the
Well,
second round.
yeah.
I think that's disrespectful. I don't even think he's the best offensive lineman on the Detroit Lions.
I mean, I have another one on my list too from the Detroit
Do you?
Lions. No, Penei Sewell.
I like Penei.
He's 100% the best.
I don't think he's the
lineman in
best
this.
one on Detroit.
Yeah, he is. He's the best lineman in the division as well. But
Don't think that's true either.
I'm going to take defensive tackle from the Green Bay Packers, Kenny Clark, as my
That's
second
kind of
pick.
who I was hoping would fall to me. I'm not going to lie.
We can talk. I want to hear who. I think.
I'll definitely say it later.
I think I know who he is. Your bias is showing.
I'm going to take wide
Yeah, but I also
receiver.
said I don't think he's the best offensive lineman on the team.
Wrong. All right. Anyways, go on.
I'm going to take wide receiver from the Bears, DJ Moore.
See, that's kind of where the direction I was thinking about going, but I held off. So
With my second overall pick, my bias is showing. I will take left tackle and the best offensive lineman in this division, David Bakhtiari.
that was actually not who I thought you were going to pick. So
You don't think he's the best lineman
if
and
he
offensive lineman?
stays healthy, yeah, but he hasn't been healthy in
He
3
has
seasons.
a track
He's the
track
best
record.
at chugging beer.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, 100%. That's
Yeah,
just
he's the best offensive
given.
lineman.
That's
at
just
Chuck Beer.
given.
But he has not been healthy the last 3 seasons. So unless he can show me that he can return to his All-Pro form this season, I disagree. Personally, I don't hate your
I
pick,
bet in
but-
Madden, Penei Sewell's not a superstar.
Respectfully.
Respect.
David Bakhtiari, even being injured, is still a superstar
I
in
bet
Madden.
Penei Sewell is a superstar.
And when he wasn't injured, he was an X factor.
There's no X Factor offensive lineman.
You want to make that bet?
Yeah, there is. There isn't. 100% there isn't.
Used to be one on your Dallas Cowboys.
There's no X Factor lineman.
Yes, there are.
There. Pick your next
What
pick.
would their X factor be?
Huh?
What would their X factor be?
I don't know.
Exact. I don't.
I
Think,
don't-
I think he's right. I don't think.
I
that
think there is. I think there's X factor lineman though.
for.
Would be amazing if they had X Factors like
I'm pretty sure
pancake
there
blocker,
is,
or blindside blocker.
I really still think there is, but I could be wrong.
I think
They
Fine,
have
he's at the
superstar
top of
abilities.
his tier.
superstar
He's a
abilities, not
superstar.
X
Yeah.
factors.
I do not believe so. In Madden, the O-line is
Whatever.
probably the most useless position. It's what
Well, that's just not
Yeah,
true
that's
at
not
all.
that one is true, but
Every single year for Madden, my creative player is a center.
of course, there's no O-line X factors.
That
Not
makes
even a
such a
thing,
difference every
according to
single
anyone
year.
at EA. Wrong.
Any fumbles? Do you ever fumble with a snap?
I've only fumbled once.
It's an impressive track record.
Yeah.
You're funny as fuck for that. All right, anyways.
All right, I guess I was wrong. Whatever.
No,
Well,
he's still
at the
good.
top of his tier then because he's a superstar. All right.
So just recap: Justin Jefferson,
And
David Bakhtiari, DJ
DJ
Moore,
Moore.
and Alexander. And I have Penei Sewell and Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark was a good one. I really wanted him. I think my bias is still going to show, and I think I'm going to go with middle linebacker Devondre Campbell.
He wasn't even on my list of top players, honestly, but I don't hate that pick, no.
My third and final pick, linebacker for the Bears, Tremaine Edmonds.
Pretty good pick. Solid pick. I think I'm getting great value in this draft at this pick right now. As the last pick in my draft, I'm going to take wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I have fucked up there.
I think we all had really solid.
I might have
drafts.
fucked up there. I forgot about that guy. I don't know how.
I almost took him with
probably because he's so short, but
I almost took him with the first pick in the second round, like when I had back to back. But I also didn't want to go 2 Lions in a row. So then I'm glad that he fell to me. Fair.
Yeah, I should have taken him instead of Devondre Campbell. I'm not mad with my pick still.
I
my
think
team.
Mattson says Hunter wrong just because he picked DJ Moore probably. Tremaine Edmonds.
So stupid.
I was actually trying to not choose
a bear.
Yeah.
So back to our other discussion where we were arguing earlier. I think the best offensive lineman on the Detroit Lions is center Frank Ragnow.
See, I was thinking more of the other side of the tackle in Christian Darrisaw.
Nope, Frank Ragnow.
No, I agree. He was on my list as well. So
Lions have a solid line.
yeah, they really
have
do.
a really good.
That's why they were able.
They have
to
a really good
finish 9-8.
offensive line. They do. They really do.
Since I was,
I guess that makes sense because they had an offensive line to protect Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
see,
Well, also that's the reason why
And
Jamal
mobile.
Williams had so many rushing touchdowns right
17.
on the goal line last year.
Be able to just
Yeah,
right up the middle.
they just big boyed it.
Yeah.
They just pushed everybody out of the way.
All right,
so
Jamal, where do you want the hole?
yeah, for real. But just since I did some notes, I just want people that we didn't take include Elgin Jenkins, who I thought you were gonna take instead of Bakhtiari.
I think Bakhtiari is
Light-skinned
better, but I
Jesus.
still Alton Jenkins. I would almost
Justin Fields
argue
is true.
Alton Jenkins is the second best in this division. Offensive lineman.
But yeah, I'm surprised nobody took Justin Fields. I mean,
I'm not.
He has the potential
He-
to be a top.
He
9
does, but
player
he's
in
just
this
not a
division.
top
Yeah.
10
Right
in
now.
this division
yeah,
right now. No.
When we're putting in
There's no
retrospect
quarterback
of
in this division that should be a part of the
every
top 10.
position, yeah, it's hard to put him top 9 because that's what we draft. You know, is he
I think
top
this is
12, top 15?
This is the first of our. Yeah, this is the first
We
of our
just
3
haven't
drafts
taken a quarterback.
that we didn't take a quarterback.
Well, the one that should have been drafted if we were going to is probably Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
but
he was-
I
he
don't
was on
think,
my list, too.
I think he barely misses my top 10 list.
When my second pick, that's who I was considering was Kirk Cousins. I actually really loved him out of Michigan State. But
I have bias on that. I hated him.
that's fine.
But also
Lucky Badger.
some people that we didn't take, Elgin Jenkins. And I also talked about Christian Darrisaw. He's on my list. And then Daniil Hunter,
Yeah.
defensive end he had
Vikings.
like 12 and a half sacks, I think, roughly last season. So like he's up there. Rashawn Gary was on my list, and then Kirk Cousins and CJ Gardner-Johnson, who is just newly acquired
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, so like it's hard when we're only drafting 3 people each. You know, there's obviously going to be people that we leave out, but I think
Some honorable mentions.
yeah, they were. But I think overall each of us had a pretty good draft. I would say this was probably our most even draft for all 3 of us. Like there's
Would you disagree with Mattson right now? Packers have the worst quarterback in the division, and that's a fact. At the
Right.
moment.
At the moment, yeah, I guess I can agree with that. But at the end of the season, I don't think that's going to be the case.
it'll be Kirk Cousins. Lol.
I don't think it'll be Kirk
I
Cousins
was about
because
to say, I think
he's
it
throwing to a good
definitely-
wide receiver class. He's got such great weapons that
Again-
it's going to be hard for him to be the worst stats wise. I think that Jordan Love can have a better season than Jared Goff.
I was about to say, I think that it's a higher chance that the worst quarterback is going to be Jared Goff than
Yeah.
Jordan or
But
Justin
I
Fields.
still think there's even a chance that Justin Fields ends up playing down because whatever the new offense isn't clicking together. You got a new wide receiver, you got a new running back. Your offensive line still is kind of garbage.
Yep.
I mean, good job going out and getting an offensive tackle in the first round, but it's going to take some time for him to develop, and
real
it's only
number
one guy.
receiver.
So are you just going to roll out to that side of the pocket every single time?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee the Packers are just going to stack guys on that side.
I get you.
I was about to say all three other teams in the division, besides the Bears, have defenses that can get to Justin Fields or the ability to get to Justin Fields.
Mhm.
And I think that, again, if they don't continue to do something for the offensive line, we could see. I don't think we're going to see any sort of regression, but we could see another Bears team that has 3 to 6 wins.
I think so too.
His ceiling is obviously way higher than that.
Yeah,
but
100%.
The Bears could shock everybody and be an 11-win team, but they could also be another 3-win team.
Yeah, they could. I'm not gonna deny that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you. They could be an 11-win team.
Yeah.
Just I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I just feel like they needed to go get offensive line help, and they did everything except that. Like they took an offensive lineman, but he's not proven.
Personally, if I'm in the draft room, that's something they should have been doing 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You want to let your offensive line and hope that you hit on them and they grow together and team chemistry together. And by the time they get to their
this
late
was
20s,
second year,
GM, that other GM and head coach was atrocious.
Well, and last year the Bears had a great
Don't even get me started with that shit.
Yeah, the Bears had a great draft
Mhm.
last year,
Yeah.
and I think that again we were talking about it earlier. Give them another 2 to 3 seasons, and they're going to be
Jesus. Alrighty. Well, I think on behalf of the Fortune Sports crew, we are concluding another great episode of Football's Destiny, presented by Fortune Sports.
Stay safe.
Doodles.
Deuces and switches. Love you guys. See you next week sometime. Peace.
I'm just way too hot now, way too hot. Pull up with the top down. You know I can't be around. You know I can't be around.